We're delighted to welcome you here tonight. And if everybody would like to give a wave in our normal Conscious Cafe welcome, we're really pleased to see you.
Do you know, it's lovely to be here. Lovely to see you, Judy. Always happy to see you. And I've got some familiar faces here. So Rachel, last time I connected with Rachel on an event, for some bizarre reason, we all invited ourselves to her house for a party. And I've got no idea where she lives. People have watched that since and said they want to come to your party. You build these great connections online, which is so wonderful. So I want to actually take you through a process in a little while, but I just first want to give you a little potted history. I've got to condense all these years into a little bite-sized chunk just to give you an idea of how I started, how I came to work with this. Because if you understand what has happened along the way, you'll know why I'm so passionate about working with future vision. So I started out, well, I still do, read tarot cards. I've got them everywhere. I've always got my card. I take them on holiday. Some people might find that a bit sad. I love cards. I read cards for all these years, but I was also deeply fascinated by past life regression. It just made sense to me. Regression made sense. And when I finally managed to have some experiences, because you got to remember, going back all these years, you couldn't Google anybody. The only way you found anybody was if somebody told you. Whenever I came across somebody that had a regression session, by the time I've looked them up, they vanished again. The phone number wasn't working. We didn't have websites. We had no way of contacting people. But when I finally had an experience, it was so profound to me, and everybody around had such a profound experience. With Denise Lynn, some of you will come across. It was just so absolutely magical experience. And that I there was no training anywhere. So I trained in clinical hypnotherapy. I felt I ought to have a certificate. You do, don't you? And then I wrote my own scripts. So I worked with past life regression for another 20 years. Absolutely loved it. Everyone was so special. And the big change came when some military guys came to see me and they wanted to know something about the past. And I brought in somebody so I could tap in as well to go back to this point in time to find out whatever it is they wanted to know about. And we all jumped forward in time. We didn't understand that at the time, but we didn't go back. We just said, well, that was a rubbish session. None of us saw what we wanted to find out from the past. But what we all saw was some version of the attack on the Twin Towers. One of them saw two skyscrapers, smoke coming out, a helicopter going around, described it. Another one described looking out over a bay and just said a skyline's change. How can a skyline change? And I was picking up on Middle Eastern oil. We just thought we'd had a rubbish session. It was only 3 weeks later when it happened. We were really horrified that we hadn't known enough to stop it or change anything. Like Mark Twain said, what's the point of seeing a little bird that falls? What's the point of seeing it if you don't catch it? And it's that really shook us. But after a little while, I started to experiment with the lads, with these soldier lads. They're very open military, and we consistently started predicting world events. Consistently, there wasn't the odd fluke. And after a little while, we started to document it. One of the things I did with the lads was let's go and find Bin Laden. Put your mind back to that point. Everyone was looking for Bin Laden, weren't they? Where is he? I knew where he was anyway. I could remote view him. He was up the Khyber Pass, but I'm working with the lads, and one of them said they're not looking for him. Now you imagine all the world governments are supposed to be looking for Bin Laden. Said they're not looking, they're getting ready to invade Iraq. Now, that sounds like nothing now. When they said that straight after September the 11th, that was an outrageous. We actually laughed because it sounded so ridiculous. Of course, when it happened, one of the lads actually ended up out in Iraq, bodyguarding journalists out there. So when that happened, he also said something interesting. He said they are going to say they've got chemical weapons, but they know they don't. Promise you that's what he said. Then said there's a 23-point plan to take over the Middle East. After this, it'll be Syria and Iraq, Iran, Syria and Iran. That's what they said. I actually spoke to one of the military guys earlier, and we're going to do some more because we feel like we need the next step. So I don't know, I think for about 3 years, we thought it was all a bit of a fluke. Then I started taking clients forward 5 years. And it was interesting, or and you just think, well, it's probably a bit of fantasy. Let's see what house they're living in, who they're married to, um, their work. And what was really interesting to me, I'm taking them forward 5 years. After a few months, they were calling me up saying it's happened. That that was when I knew I had to work with this. They were saying it's happened. I've met the guy. We're getting married. I've got that job. I've moved to that house. It was happening. It was as if the best of the future was being brought back to their current consciousness. And that really, because I'm not very patient. I know spiritual people always say, be patient, dear. Well, I'm not. I'm not. I don't particularly want to be patient. So I think we waste a lot of time in life. We train in the wrong things. We waste time on the wrong people. And I just think if we could get straight to the good bits, fast track it. I just think it's got to benefit everybody. That's how I saw it. So at that moment, I knew it'd be my life's work. So that's my potted history. Since then, within a short space of time, everything took off for me. Everything took off, um, and I've never looked back. As you say, I've ended up traveling here, there, and everywhere from Estonia to Japan. I've traveled to the most incredible places. Um, it's been magical. So just want to give you a little potted history. Now, the time we're living in now, it's very unsettling for people. And it's interesting because so many people say things like we create our reality. And yet every time we listen to them, it's doom and gloom. If we create our reality, can we create a good one? A better one. Why does it have to be doom and gloom? I think we need to come back to what is our part to play. If everybody's got a part to play, and we're going to be working with that. We're starting to realize that we understand time, that we can understand time. You go back 30 years, hardly any films were about time. Now every other film's about time. Changing the past, looking into the future, multiple realities. It's like we are evolved enough now to start understanding time. That's how I see it. That we can, you go back to your grandparents, they didn't think very far ahead. They were busy putting food on the table, survival. They were in survival mode. It's only now that we can actually weigh up options and choices. People didn't have choices. If you if your family were farmers, you were going to be a farmer. You weren't going to go off and be a dentist. You followed your what was the hand you were dealt, the life that was laid out in front of you. Now we have options, which sounds great, but the amount of options and information is absolutely frying people's brains. That's why there's so much anxiety. We all the terrible things that happen in the world, we wouldn't have known about it 20, 30 years ago. We constantly hear horrible news. In actual fact, the world's a lot better than it used to be. If you actually look at the stats, the world is actually better than it used to be. And yet we're constantly bombarded with how bad it is, how we have no control, all these bad people. And believe me, I'm pretty sure there are bad people pulling strings and up to no good. But we're constantly being fed this. We have no control over what's happening. And so there's so much anxiety now. And I think we're trying to move forward from where we are now. Now, The change we've had in the last 20 years is nothing, is absolutely nothing to what's going to happen in the next three. All that change that's happened in the last 20 years, more than the previous 100, got more in the next three. I absolutely tell you, I mix with a lot of very interesting people. I belong to a few groups, AI experts, the real smart cookies, and they tell me what's coming up. And it is way beyond what any of us can imagine. One of the top AI guys in the world said to me about 5 weeks ago, he said, I can usually anticipate 5 or 10 years in the future. I can't get past a year now with the rate of change. There's so much to come, and that makes people anxious. And what they do is going to change. If you work in therapies, you might well have seen what people want change. I've seen a lot of people have come to me and said, I've done this for years. A hypnotherapist came to me and he said, I've done this for so long. Now there's so many in my town trained in hypnotherapy. There's no work for me. I've got to go and do something else after all these years. He was the original one there. So everything's going to continually change. Everything's going to keep changing. So what we need to do, instead of trying to work it out from here and maneuver the change, we need to be working from the future backwards. Here's the lovely Christina. We've got Anne Winslow. Good to see some familiar faces. So we're working from the future backwards. So what I want to work with you today is future lifetime. You think of how many of you have actually looked at your past lives? Give me a little wave if you've looked at your had a past life. Yeah, good, good. Amazing, isn't it? Oh, I find it. Look, a few little thumbs up. This is great. Well, we often think we talk about past lives. How many of us really think about future lifetimes? What we're going to evolve into? This was a big breakthrough working with future lifetimes. I was taking people into their next lifetime. And to me, what was really interesting is who are you? What is it you do in that next lifetime? What is your role, your purpose? That's what I want to look at with you guys today. I found that really interesting because it gives you a little hint of what of your path now. Most people you talk to are doing 10 different things, and that'll never get anybody anywhere. Just doing a bit of this, doing a bit of that. What is it you meant to be doing? What is your path? What is your role? And when you find out what it is you do in your next lifetime, that will give you a very big hint to your path now. Very big hint. I've had people come to me and they're going, well, I'm going to take this course in angel card reading. I'm going to do this healing thing and the angel woo woo rabbit thingy. And there's so many. And there's all the, sorry, I take the Mickey out of a lot because some of them are a bit too much for me. But, there's so many options. And then she went into the future and she just said, I'm using crystals and lasers. And you'd be amazed at how often that comes out. Look out for that when it develops, because that's come up a lot. And in a past life, I took her to a past life and she saw that she worked with hot stones that had come out this spring. So all her lifetimes were all about working with stones. So why are you going off doing that, doing that? Let's come back to the stones. Let's make you a master of working with stones. As soon as we did that, her energy calmed right down. All that running around doing 20 courses, her whole energy calmed right down. So what is your purpose in that future lifetime? Now, Rupert Sheldrake said that your brain is inside your skull, but your mind can travel anywhere. Your mind can travel into a future lifetime. It can travel in 1,000 years in the future. It can remote view, as in see what's happening in other places. All right, to me, the mind being able to travel anywhere, the past or the future, or to other places, to me, that's one of the biggest breakthroughs. When we understand that, it makes a huge difference. It explains telepathy. When your uncle, you just kept thinking about your uncle, and next day you heard he was poorly. or he'd had an accident. We've all done that. And this is your brain can pick up on things so far away and it can glimpse. But to glimpse your next lifetime, yeah, if you've got any questions, do fire them out there. I'm very open. So before I take you into a future lifetime, there's a little exercise I like to do. And I like to find your dominant sense. Your dominant sense. Now, anybody that's worked with past life regression, if you actually take people into past lives, every so often you'll have somebody saying, I'm not seeing anything. And one of the things I found was some people are very visual, some people are more feeling, and some people are more thought forms. And when you find what is your dominant sense, it makes the whole process a lot easier. You're not trying to see an epic movie or you're not trying to feel things. It'll make the whole and if you work with individuals, if you work taking people into past lives, this is really worth doing before you do the process, because once people know what is their dominant sense, how they process information, you get a much better result, a much stronger result. So I'm going to show you how to find your dominant sense. This is such fun. So make yourselves nice and comfy. Just close your eyes and focus on your breathing. And as you focus on your breathing, you will naturally start to relax. And as you relax, you'll feel your body just soften, let go with each breath that you take. Each breath softening and relaxing. And I just want you to imagine in front of you there are 3 houses. And you focus on the first house. And you walk up to the first house and you step inside. And inside, it's the most beautiful house you've ever seen. Just have a look around the beautiful house. The decor, maybe there's beautiful pictures, furnishings. Look around the house. It's so, so beautiful. The exquisite taste. And just come back out and look at the second house. Walk up to the second house and step inside. And as soon as you step into that second house, you feel so good. Maybe it's got soft furnishings, soft carpets. Maybe it's just the vibe of the place that just makes you feel so good. And just enjoy how that second house makes you feel. And just come back out. And again, look at the 3 houses. And look at the third house. Walk up to the third house. Step inside. And inside the third house your brain, your mind just settles, feels so calm. It's the most beautiful music playing. Your mind is filled with a wonderful sense of peace, and your ideas just flow. You have such clarity. Just enjoy how your mind feels so wonderful in this third house. Just come back out and just look at the three houses. Just get a sense of which one drew you the most? Which one did you identify with the most? Which of those three houses did you feel the best in? Which one really drew you? I'd love you to put your answers in the chat and just tell us which suited you. So the second one, first one, second. A lot of feeling people here and a lot of visual. Not so many. Bernie's third. Interesting. Three. One and two. Cool. It's really what's interesting is sometimes there's a predominance in certain countries. Number two, Chris, number three. Okay. So when I work in the Middle East, Middle Eastern people tend to be too. They're very feeling, very, very feeling. What's interesting with the people at number three, the people that clears their mind, the thought forms people, they're more liable to just have thoughts pop in their head. They might have an image, they might feel stuff, but they're very liable to have thought forms pop into their mind. So the first group, number one, they're very liable. They might well have a lot of visual images. Second people might be more, I just got a feeling this is happening. I've just got a feeling I'm here or I'm there. And the third people have thought forms. They're very interesting. When I do this one-to-one, I ask people about their last holiday and how they answer really tells you how they process information. So number ones will tell you, oh, the beautiful sunset, or we're looking out over this beautiful bay. The second people, the feeling people, tell you how they feel. The third people, thought forms people, give you facts. They're good in business. The thought forms people are good in business, but they'll say we arrived at 10:45 and we were on the ninth floor, and they kind of give you all the facts of what they're doing. It was partly said music playing. Yeah, that's that. Letting your mind flow with the music. Once you know your dominant sense, and you might well get a mixture of all of them when you do a process. You might well get a mixture. So, okay, when you when I started taking people in the next lifetime, it wasn't what I expected. My first experience was not what I expected. I trained up the military guys. One of them phoned me earlier today. We still uh, keep in contact. They bring their children up to see me. It's really fabulous. It's so good to see them and still have that connection. We're going to do a lot more filming. My first experience going into a future lifetime, I thought I'd be some spiritual dude in a robe or something. And I wasn't. I was really stiff and I knew I was working with logic. It's really, I really didn't expect that at all. But I was working and I actually landed on a planet and we landed not like we land, it came straight down horizontally onto this planet and everything felt different. it's like everything there was much lighter. And for myself in the future lifetime, I was aware of myself here, and everything felt heavy. My clothes felt heavy. Everything felt really, my body, everything, and everything was sort of like the colors here seemed garish. Everything was pastel on this planet. Wasn't even vaguely what I expected. I took a top business coach, one of the top in the world. And when in the future, I've had this with a number of people, he was just energy. Do you evolve into just energy? He was like a light being. And he didn't know what it was. He said, I feel like I'm Tinkerbell. I feel like I'm a little fairy. I'm Tinkerbell. He didn't know what to make of it. We've had people where we've thought they haven't gone into the future because they're living such a basic life. They're living by a river, log cabin. They've opted for a really gentle life. And at first we thought, oh no, they've just gone back to a past life. But it isn't. Some people are in high-tech cities, but we're definitely interplanetary. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And that is really, really interesting. The nearest I've seen all the movies showing these things is a TV show called The Expanse. That is the nearest to what I saw when I've gone into future lifetimes, The Expanse. That kind of resonated. And then taking people, I think one of the most profound experiences I ever had, just let somebody in, was a lady come to me and she said, I don't feel I've got a future. She said, I married my childhood sweetheart. She said, we talked so much about all the wonderful things we do when we retired. And she said, he just suddenly died. I didn't get any time to prepare. 1 minute he's there and he's gone. And she said, my daughter doesn't want children, so it's just me. She's busy with her career. She said, her kids tell her to go off on cruises. She said, I go off, I'm not really enjoying them. And I just don't feel I've got a life. And she said, it's been like that 5 years since he died. And I didn't think about this beforehand, but I took her off into a future lifetime and she was reunited with her husband. And that changed everything for her. She said, I know I'm going to see him again. I know we're going to be together again. That changed everything. And I've had other experiences where people have lost a sibling. The, the thing is, when you lose somebody, it's so final. It's so final. They're gone. That's it. And you have that. I'm never going to see him again. I'd love somebody who trains with me to just specialize in that because I just think it's wonderful to give people. I've seen people they really shift and they go, no, there's more. There's more after this lifetime. We will be reunited. It's just the most wonderful thing. Has anybody got anything they want to ask me? I'm going to give you a little break soon because I know you like to have a little break. You're all good, yeah? Do you need a break? Do you need a break, guys? Yes? No? No, you don't. You want to get going. You want to get stuck in. Okay. All good. There you go. Okay, great. That's brilliant. That's good. So I'd like to take you on a little journey into a future lifetime and let's see where you are. As I say, it might be what you expect. It might not be at all. Just go with it. I will prompt you. Just take what comes to you. One of the most important parts is to anchor that energy. Everybody I've taken into a future lifetime has been far more evolved. And as soon as I started working with this, I said, we are about to have a jump in our evolution because you think of the generations over time, we haven't changed that much. By the next lifetime, we are far more evolved. And we're not so needy. It's like we grow up. From your future lifetime, you'll see it. It's almost if we're a bit silly now and a bit childish and a bit needy. By our next lifetime, we're not. We're more connected to the greater whole. We're more connected to everybody. And there's good bits and bad bits about that. When I first, like, time to evolve. Yeah, let's do it, Diane. Just, just that point where everybody's just so much wiser and serene. Something must be happening for us to evolve that much quicker just by our next lifetime. We could tap into that wisdom. We can ask advice from our future self. And that's one thing I'm going to get you to do is communicate with that your future self in your next lifetime and just say, what's the message? You got hindsight. What do I need to know? This is one of the major parts. Tell me what do I need to know right now? You can ask a question. And the powerful part is anchoring the energy of that future you. This is one of the major things I teach when we train. There's people here that have trained with me. When you can tap into that energy, that highly evolved, serene, wise energy, you can actually bring it back to your current time and you can use it whenever you want. And I'll show you how to do that. I want you to have that to go away with, that anytime you want, you can tap into that wisdom, that serenity, that peace. And one thing I will tell you, all the doom and gloom, 50 years' time, the world's lovely. It is lovely. And I've done this in groups all over the world. And they've all found, give it 50 years, there might be the odd skirmish and upset along the way. 50 years' time, the world's a lot calmer. I've done this with so many groups of people through translators. In Estonia, they made me work through simultaneous translation. Can you imagine? Simultaneous. It was phenomenal. Huge room full of people done this all over, and they all see the world as much better in 50 years. But let's find out about you. Make yourselves nice and comfy. I love doing this. I really do love getting stuck in and doing this. It's always great because the right people show up. That's one thing. The people who get it show up. That's why it's great. So make yourselves nice and comfy and just focus on your breathing. That's good. And as you focus on your breathing, you will naturally start to relax. With each breath you take, just allow beautiful relaxation to flow down the top of your head, flow down the back of your head into your neck, flowing down through your face, through your cheeks, your lips, your chin, flowing across your shoulders, flowing all the way down your arms, right down into your hands, right to the tips of your fingers. Just feel the relaxation flowing all the way down your back, flowing all the way down your spine, relaxing all the muscles in your back, allowing the relaxation to flow down through your chest and your tummy, flowing down through your hips and thighs, flowing all the way down to your knees, all the way down your calves, ankles and feet, flowing right to the tips of your toes. And you are relaxing well. You are letting go. You're drifting. The more you relax, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the more you relax. I just want you to imagine you are out in nature on a beautiful day. Look around at the flowers in every color that you can imagine. Smell the sweet scent. Hear birds singing in a nearby tree. Feel the warmth of the sun. This is a special place. Just breathe in that clean, fresh air. With each breath you take, you relax more and more. And you look up at the perfectly blue sky and you notice just one cloud. And as you watch, it floats down towards you and floats a few inches from the ground. You climb onto the cloud and it feels soft and safe. And it gently carries you up into the air, up and up and up into the air. You're looking down on that beautiful place. You can feel a breeze, gentle breeze as you float on your cloud. And in a moment, you're going to float forward through time. Somehow you know the past is behind you, the future is in front of you. You're going to float forward and you're going to float forward way beyond your current life and then down into your next lifetime and get a sense of who you are, what you do, where you are. Information that will be useful, really, really useful. So you're floating on your cloud and you're floating forward, forward, forward through time, forward through time. That's good. Floating forward, forward through time, way beyond your current life, floating forward. Float down and down and down into your next lifetime, all the way down, all the way down. That's good. Feel yourself arrive and land in your next lifetime. Just get a sense if you're male or female or something else. Get a sense of who you are, what you look like. And get a sense of what you're wearing. What are your surroundings? Where are you? And I'd really like to know, what is your role? What is your purpose in that lifetime? What is it you do? Are there people about? Who's around you? And how are you in that future lifetime? How would you describe yourself? Are you calm? Are you dynamic? How would you describe yourself? in your mind, speak to your future self and ask your future self what guidance they have for you in your current time. And have a moment to ask your future self whatever you want to ask. And please ask your future self, what is it we as people, human race, what message is there for us, for the group, and for people in general? What do we need to know? And just get a sense of your future self and how they are, and their wisdom and their serenity. And you can just reach out and hold hands with your future self. Take both hands into your hands. And if in the future you're just energy, you can reach out and just touch that energy. And you can soak up some of that energy if you wish. You soak up some of that highly evolved, beautiful energy. Make it part of you. And your future self will just generate more. So you're not taking anything away. But you take as much or as little of that energy as you wish. And just get a sense of how the world is at that point. And just allow that energy to become part of you, to flow through your body. That wisdom, that sense of peace, allow it to flow through you. And I want you to keep that energy with you as you float back to your current time, float all the way back to your current time. That's good. Keeping that energy with you. And any time you want a boost of that wonderful energy, and I know for me it's been such a beautiful energy, and it's so calm, and it clears your mind and gives you that purpose. Anytime you wish, just reach out, tap into that energy again, hold hands with your future self. Anytime you wish, you can just focus and be back there, tap into that energy. This will be a great guide, beautiful guidance. I often have my future self with me. What better guide could you possibly have than your future self? So keeping that wonderful energy with you, just take a deep breath. When you're ready, open your eyes. That changed me doing that. Changed me, changed my energy, changed the way I saw the world. So I'd love you to just pop something. I'd love each of you to just pop something into the chat. Mariam or Judy will read out. But if you've got a question, or I'd love you to share something. The message for the group would be great. The message for the world, or something that happened to you.
So the first one, a sense of calm and confidence from Kubota. I had this really strong sense that for the group that we are love and to remember that we're powerful. And Rowena has loved one another. Judy, we can all bring in the light. Bernie, to focus on the love. Anne-Marie, take care of this precious planet. Joanna, I was male and I was a balancer. It was a role to balance energies and situations when things got out of kilter with people and their relationship with the planet and each other. I was
Brilliant.
all about equilibrium. Beautiful. Mercedes, I was dressed in a metallic outfit and was here to make prosthetic limbs for babies using plasma and a special form of light. My message for the world is please turn up your inner light. Too many are set on dim. The world and all of us now need wattage up to the max. Yes. Ingrid, the energy I felt and saw was silvery, sparkling, and just beautiful. Christina, I wasn't in a physical body and it was all about knowledge transmission, not what I expected. Hillary, we still absorb the energy, unite. Rachel, kindness is key was the message she received for the group. Beautiful. Debbie, mine was all about innate wisdom and personal empowerment. Mary, new year, new energy and power in love and new possibilities. Wow, Judy, yeah, that was beautiful and very powerful. Thank you, Anne.
Okay.
Message to humanity was be kind to each other. From Anne. Sue, a beautiful turquoise energy. Chris, serene stillness and empowerment. Yeah. And I'm a woman, I'm a different world, kind and peaceful and joyful. She told me I couldn't come yet as I needed to love the earth and to write. Wonderful. Debbie, a very beautiful future, close to nature, close communities, not digital, back to local exchange, people valuing kindness. Amazing. Kindness and love are really strong, aren't they? And this sort of calm power. Elodie, question. What can I do to feel my future self? I felt it was too much in the present. Can everybody have this ability?
Yeah, absolutely. Wait till I come back another time and take you 1,000 years in the future. That's really something. Yeah, everybody. I really think everybody's much more evolved in the future. I want to qualify it a little bit because when I first started, I thought everybody's so calm, but I felt it was a bit. People seem to be on their own a bit, and they're much more self-sufficient. They weren't so needy, and I kind of wanted people to sort of be a bit less on their own in the future, if that makes sense. And I kept seeing people working from home, and everyone said that will never happen. Of course, the fifth book come out the first week of the first lockdown, and everyone said no, everybody won't be working from home, and that's when the book come out. It was quite funny. I went, well, I think we are. That future lifetime, it's funny because it's clean. We obviously find a way to make the world clean. Um, the world is just wonderfully clean. I think we go beyond war. We go beyond silly squabbles. One of the things that really stood out for me, and this came up in a number of countries, was it would be a different political system. Therefore, it will attract a different type of person. And that's when we get the big shift. At the moment, it's a big gravy train, whatever you are, get all these benefits, all this, and I'm a big clever person because I'm in politics. I found in the future there was a lot of younger people, but they didn't get a lot of benefits. They travelled economy. They got the Premier Inn. They weren't this. You could go and order a massive TV for your second home. That's what one MP actually did, spent £2,000 on a massive telly, apparently, for a home he didn't even need. So that all that stops. You just become like you're a traveling salesperson or whatever. It doesn't have all those benefits, and it attracts a different type of person who treats it as a job. But they seem to be quite young. And it seems that actually came up a lot in Japan, that they just saw younger people in politics, but they were very much. It's different. It's interesting looking at the youth today because I almost split them into the two. They're the dynamic ones, and there's the others that are a bit anxious. People of my age tend to say that. Um, this isn't. They seem completely different. They're very focused, but they're actually quite soft. But they're really focused on their mission. So I saw them in the future, and it was the young people that were shaping the world. And when I come across some younger people, especially in the spiritual field, I look at them and think, yeah, I can see that energy that I saw in the future. The young ones that are coming into the spiritual field seem to have this softness, but they're actually quite firm and focused, and they know what they want to do with it. And that gives me great hope for the future. But yeah, we all have a part to play. And I love that love and unity come up because we are so divided. You know, you think masks are stupid, or you think you have to wear one, or vax is this, or I hate this politician, I like that one. And it is a deliberate campaign to separate everybody. And I love that in our next lifetime that we are connected, that we are so connected. And I think it's really good to once a week step into your future self or step into that future lifetime and stop and think, what do I need to know? Speak to your future self. What message have you got for me this week? What do I need to be doing? Because we've all got a part to play, and it ain't arguing on Facebook. That ain't our mission, is it? We're not all here to row on Facebook and call each other stupid if we don't. That's what people do all day. Spiritual people are all day online rowing or getting evidence to get one up on somebody. No, I mean, one of my friends messaged me earlier, and he's extreme left. And I don't believe anything he believes, but I love him dearly and I'll work with him often. I will work with him often because he's just a wonderful person. He just happens to see things very different from me. He sees people as victims, I don't. So I think I love that in the future we're more even, we're all connected. So I'd love, what questions have you got? Because I'm rattling on here. So what questions do you have for me?
There's one from Sarah. I found it a bit difficult to really see who I was, but I got a sense of being female, more serene than I am now. My role was to help people see the deepest truth of who they are and the truth in situations. I felt in touch with love and serenity.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And if you can bring some of that into your everyday life now,
Hmm.
that's wonderful.
And then, Mandy, I was in a tall skyscraper and I was not on this planet. And Paula says, yes, I saw people a bit isolated in the future, less emotional.
Yeah, I had that. Less emotional. That's exactly what I felt. And I feel that we can shape that in our current time. I feel like we are being a bit separated now. And I feel we need to step into that warm aspect of ourselves, that love and kindness that we saw in the future. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter if somebody believes something different and lives a different life. Just that putting that kindness and good vibe out there.
Mm. There's one more, Bernie. Got a sense of transitioning into my next life without dying as we currently understand it. Has anyone else had this experience?
That's really interesting. No, I've not heard that, but that's really interesting. I think that's in your next lifetime. A lot of people, not a lot of people, a certain amount of people feel themselves as just energy, just pure energy. And it sounds as if you just go straight into being energy. That's how it sounds to me, which is amazing. Yeah, some people people will actually say to you, "This is my last lifetime." They kind of know it, and they become energy. And the people are just energy. I mean, I found that difficult at first because I'm doing individual sessions and I didn't know what to ask. They're just energy. You can hardly ask them what they watch on television and what their day job is. You know, what do you ask them? I mean, I've really kind of worked with this over the years to hone it. And they would say things like, I'm I use energy to help that planet grow or to stop conflict or to bring love into it. So they work with energy. They
Mm.
send energy out. And it's interesting when you got people all over the world and there's a common factor come up. As I said, the healing using crystals with lasers has come up in all sorts of places. It's obviously a thing in the future. You get a
Mhm.
little inkling about what's to come, what's to
Mm.
come in the world.
There's a question from Kubota. Are there techniques you would suggest to better connect with our future selves? I felt blocked from connecting with my future self.
It's a lot of energy, and I would say just go and just try now and again. Just go back there every so often. I you know sometimes we expect a lot. It's like when I do a session, I do see things, but it is somebody described it as jumping up, peeking over a wall, and other people get lots. But with me, when I get those snippets, I those snippets can tell me a lot. I'll give you an example. I did a session on myself to go ahead in my current lifetime, and I left it open-ended. I just left it what take me to a time that I need to see. I usually go 5, 10 years because they're really good time frames. And I knew I'd gone about 15 years into the future. And I saw myself in the desert. And it was really odd because their children, my grandchildren were there.
Mhm.
It was so incredible because I didn't have them then. And there was these two boys running around. I knew they were brothers. And then the girl, I've got them now. It was weird because afterwards I kind of almost missed them because I'd kind of had that connection in
You'd
that
already
future.
met them.
Yeah, yeah, it was really something. And one thing that jumped out at me was I thought I look a bit frail. I knew I'd gone 15 years from that time and I looked frail. And I thought, why would I be frail? And so the answer came back, you've got to sort your bones out. Your bones aren't good. And at the time, I just thought my bone. I mean, look, my office, I take millions. I've got vitamins everywhere. I take the best supplements money can buy. That is what I spend money on, supplements. I really, really take the best of it. I thought, but anyway, I went and had a bone density test. And they said, within 10 years, you'll be in a wheelchair and you'll have to have help around the house. Your bones are so weak. Well, it was about 20 years ago. We like proving them wrong, don't we? We like to see our old therapists, and I have proved them wrong. But that was really interesting because that gave me a big warning. And behind in the desert was this. It looked like a giant soup bowl. All this from one snippet. It looked like a giant soup bowl. I thought, why would there be a giant soup bowl in the desert? And it had this like design on it. Anyway, fast forward a number of years. I'm out in Dubai, staying at the Arabian Ranches, one of the last houses on the edge that looked out to the desert. And they started to build. It was a stadium. It was Sports City, and the design was on it. I didn't know. Yeah, so it was really taught that one glimpse. I gained so much about health, about developments, about grandchildren from that one little snippet. So whatever you glimpse, it might be a tiny bit. Go back and just go, what is that? What's happening there? Just in your mind, ask some questions. A lot more information might come.
Amazing.
Yes.
And so like one glimpse can be really rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can ask the question and go back and decipher it. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, there's a few more. We've got lots of. Anna, I was wondering if my future self might also be a higher self, thinking of the ultimate reality where time doesn't really exist. There's no past, future, only present now.
Absolutely. And do you know the other thing? When people talk about angels, I often wonder if it's their future self, because especially if we go 1,000 years into the future, everybody describes their future self at that time as being quite angelic looking. So is it your higher self? Is your future self angelic? All I know is it's the best guide you'll ever have.
Lovely. And Judy says, Anne, have you any advice for us as we navigate the current times in addition to connecting regularly with our future selves?
Yeah, I really think I like to connect with my future self quite regularly and the energy. And I tell you what, I don't get so het up about what's happening in the world, because if you're glimpsing the world in 50, 100 years' time, you know it all calms down and you'll know how much nonsense is going around. And I think it also makes you a bit more understanding of everybody else, because we are all living in an echo chamber, and that echo chamber just makes people so we're constantly fed the same information over and over, so we get staunch in our beliefs, so we lose that ability to listen. You go back, go and look at shows on television, Malcolm Muggeridge or whatever. They used to have debate shows. People just used to debate. They just used to chat. They wouldn't even agree with each other, but they weren't this horrendous energy that I have now with so much hate. The hatred that comes out people's mouths shocks me. I think just go back there regularly. Go back to wherever you were on another planet, somewhere green, and just tap into that energy and it changes you. You just don't get so involved. You just don't, you just kind of, you're a bit more understanding of other people, I think. And also that awareness that we can shape reality. People feel like victims right now. And I think we've got to come back to, we're going to shape that reality. And I love somebody said about bartering. I think we come back so we've got more control over how we deal with things, how we handle our finances, how we handle our money. I love that. I love the idea of bartering and coming back and just seeing people, saying how can we connect more on a more human level, not on a computer, not on just arguing with people online. Just come back and seeing real people, because everyone's nice, really, aren't they? Well, most people are nice. I did want to tell you how, because I think it's really relevant. Some of you are bound to be thinking of writing a book or whatever. So for the third book, Judy's lovely people said, we want it to be standalone. And I said, well, I want to write about the future. And they went, no, we want it to be, the first one's about intuition, second one's about future vision. We want this third one to be a stand. So I thought, okay, they always know best. That was Jill Bailey. She always knew best. So I went away and I thought, I know what I'm going to do here. And I just kept mind traveling 100, 200 years in the future to find out what we know in the future that we need to know now. And that's how I wrote the third book. So when it came out, people said, "Oh, a lot of the books are sort of similar. This has got new information." Where'd you get it? And I said, "In the future." That is how I wrote the third book. The first one, just in case whatever you're doing, you're writing a program, you're thinking of developing something. The first book, one of the big shots in self-help, I got them involved a bit, sort of working with, I was taking them into the future, and they said, "Anne, you've got books out." I went, "Oh, great, good." I didn't really believe it, to be honest, because I didn't have much of an education. I really didn't have much of an education. So, like, I couldn't read and write properly when I left school. So it's a bit of a push to imagine having books out. And what the guy did was he said, he took me forward and said, "You got your first book in your hand. What is it called?" And I said, "Instant Intuition." That's how I got the title of the
Oh,
first
wow.
book. It's absolutely true. Anyway, the universe, when you start working with this, it fast tracks what happens. Short while later, I'm at a wedding. The great Seika Nikolic, if you know Seika Nikolic, the wonderful healer, she's incredible. I was at her wedding, and this guy come up, top agent, wonderful man, absolutely wonderful man. He said, "I've heard about you, and when you're going to write a book?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on one right now. It's called Instant Intuition." He said, "Bring it to me." I went, "Okay, I'll call you in the week." Of course, I've had a total meltdown. I've only got the title. I've only got the title. So I called up the big self-help guru and said, "What do I do?" So he took me, and we to outline each chapter. This is totally true. If you whatever it is you're working on, what is it send your mind off into the future. You can go up on the cloud, whatever you want, drop down 5 years or a year, whatever you want. What does it look like? What is let's work from the future backwards. That is how you get stuff. Work from don't try and work it out from now. Go into the future, work backwards. So the third book, the standalone book, Cosmic everything was about energy in the future. So I wrote Cosmic Energy, and it did great. I mean, I ended up famous in Sri Lanka and all sorts of things. It just took off great. Just about 18 months ago, Little Brown Piakas contacted me and said, "We want to re-release it. It's really relevant to now. Everybody's asking about this." They re-released it and gave it a different title. I've got it over there, Power of Manifesting. When you deal with this, sometimes you're a little bit ahead of your time. So I had two bites of this. Sometimes, so when you work with this, sometimes you'll have a great idea and everyone will go, "No thanks." 6 months later, a year later, they'll want it. You can be a little bit ahead of yourself. So I've had two bites with that book. So it was wonderful. And I've just yesterday, day before yesterday, I got a message from Dubai. Somebody found it in the bookstore. How lovely. All of a sudden you get people pop up. So tapping into the future, because one of the AI experts I know said to me, "I'm going to write a book about AI." And I said, "By the time it's out, it'll be out of date." And he went, "Yeah, you're right. You've got to go into the future and work backward these days." And that's what we do.
Mm.
So just tap into your future self. Go and speak to your future self. Go and tap in. Go and ask advice. Go and see what it looks like.
Amazing.
Thank you.
We've got some more comments. Let's see if we can read them all. Mandy says, "I often use the Akashic records to connect with my future self."
Yeah, it works. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, I have done that. It's very good.
And yes, the recording will go out to everyone so we can redo the meditation while listening to your lovely voice. Sarah says, "Hi, Anne. It's really hard to know how humanity will transition from the chaos, strife, and violence happening now to the beautiful world you can see in 50 years' time. Can you say how this will happen?"
Yeah, it's very interesting, but there's a massive shift going on right now. Bad people are falling all over the place. I think there's a massive shift. I'll just tell you quickly, and I put this in my newsletter, and I've made a couple of videos about this. 2 years ago, I woke up on New Year's Day and thought there's something's changed in the energy. And I felt the previous year was the last of the old, heavy, dark, almost primitive energy. And I felt the lighter energy was in front of us. I just had this flash. I was actually in hospital on New Year's Eve. It's ridiculous. I come out New Year's Day and it was freezing cold. I waited for my Uber to come along, and I stood outside the hospital in Slough hospital in Slough. It's not a nice place. Stood out there, and it's like I had a download, and I just thought this new space is lighter, it's freer, and there's less people, and that feels weird. We get space, the unknown makes us unnerved, and I knew I was moving away from a lot of situations. And then the message came, but when you step into this lighter energy, the right people show up. And I have to tell you, the people I've connected with in that 2 years has been incredible. I truly believe this year we really step into that light. So the situations you have around you that drag you down, the friend that just puts on you or makes you tired all the time, situations, step away from the things that drag you down, step into the lighter energy. And it is odd at first because there's less people and there's less of everything, but just step into that and feel the light energy. That is honestly, I think we're at the changes starting now. And I think, yeah, I think so. I think it's now that the energy is changing and that lighter energy and the right people start to show up. So, yeah, if you've got a sister-in-law that drives you mad, don't see her. Whatever it is, the things you end up feeling obliged to do that you don't want to, or just step into that lighter energy and get rid of all the news channels. I did that and I immediately felt lighter. I don't have Sky, BBC, any of it. I've cancelled the lot. Just step into that lighter energy. But yeah, it's amazing. The most phenomenal people have suddenly. I've always been lucky with people, but it's just been really interesting to narrow it down. Because
Amazing.
yeah, any
So,
any, any more? Sorry, I
yeah,
could talk.
there are some more. There's some more questions. Judy, do you want to
Mm,
read them or
Um,
shall I carry on?
um, so Rachel says, do we follow the same process with a specified timeline to connect with who we are in 5 to 10 years' time? I'm going to read a few, Anne, because we do try to end punctually.
yeah.
Plus, you've been working so hard. Um, Diane says we're shaping reality. That's why we must focus on love and kindness. Diane says she remembers a session with you, Anne, where you said money will not be important. Well, I think we'll all be looking forward to that. Um, Anne says, if we change our life now after seeing something negative in the future of our current life, don't we avoid experiences we came on earth for? And we have to experience them in order, and we have to experience them in our next life as soul grows through them. So
That's
I
one
hope
of my
I read that clearly.
It is. That's one of my favourite questions because my answer is always suffer as much as you want, girl. You want to suffer, you go for it. If there's an easier way forward, I'm going to go for it. I actually think we're evolving so quickly. If you really, really want to suffer this lifetime and next time, or just go, yeah, I get the message and move on. I've been asked that before, and I love it. I just think it's an amazing question, but I just go, no, learn the lesson and then have an easier life. Do it quick. You don't have to suffer for a lifetime. You really don't, honestly. Please don't.
Well, I think we're all heartened to hear that. So thank you. And I think we definitely, of all the many things we're going to be taking away from tonight, that is definitely one of them. Thank you. So then I've put in the chat that we will send out information about Anne's books with the recording. And we've also had a question, Anne, as to whether you do one-to-one sessions. So you can let me know if anybody wants that information. I'll send that out with the recording as well. So, Anne, I think we've come to the end of the questions and we've come to the end of everybody sharing. And I think we have had the most beautiful experience
Thank you.
because most of us have been lucky enough to experience a glimpse of our future life, and it's lighter and it feels more positive, and it feels kinder and
Mm.
more loving and more generous. And all the things that we talk about, hopefully, we've all had an experience of. And we will be sending out the recording in a couple of days, and you will all have the opportunity to listen to the meditation again as often as you want. So you can listen to it every week if you like, in order to be in touch with your future lives. But what I'm understanding from you, Anne, is that we can be in touch. After a while, we can be in touch with our future selves without having to go through the meditation.
Yeah, you get quick at it. You really build that. You build a connection with your future self. I just want to say you've all been so delightful. You've been an absolutely delightful group. Really lovely. Yeah, lovely.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think we're just getting the most lovely messages in the chat here. So I want to say a huge thank you, Anne. You know, you've given us so much information, so much love, so much light, so much kindness. We all look forward to sharing it with the people in our lives and with the
Fabulous.
wider community. So thank you for bringing all this light down tonight.
You're welcome. Bless you. It's been great.